Welcome to the show. Walter Storholt here alongside Janine Theus. And Janine, it is great to be with you for another episode. How have you been?
Thank you. Very good. It's crazy, and I hate seeing the end of late summer. I love the fall, but I am not ready for winter. So I want to get outside a little more.
Hopefully you have a nice extended fall for yourself and don't have to worry too much about that. So.
But when we all are inside, it's kind of hard to get out there occasionally when you're pretty busy. So, but yeah, it's great.
Just put on some warmer clothes and go out there and do your thing. Although you're a swimmer, right? So yeah, you definitely like those warmer temperatures. It's hard getting out of the pool and then running out to the car afterward. And
well, actually, it's hard to getting up at dark 30 to go hit the pool
when it's that cold. Yeah. How am I going to get
cold.
warmed up enough to want to be in a pool? That's a tough question. Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm looking forward to our show today. Let's jump right in, Janine, and tackle this article. So this was in an edition of Fortune, the Fortune website recently. This author pitted ChatGPT, the AI that everybody's been kind of talking about and experimenting with over the last several months, pitted it against a real financial advisor to see if it would help her save for retirement. She says the winner is clear. The author of this article says the winner's clear. We're not going to probably surprise anybody by saying the human won still against the robot in this particular case. But you thought this was a pretty interesting concept and article. What jumped out to you about this?
Well, AI is pretty fascinating because, yes, it's very fast, and it can be very entertaining because you can make it slant in tone to wherever you want to go. But you have to double check. You have to read what it writes for you, because the facts don't always fit the case.
Yeah.
And this article was great because the ChatGPT, it's a program, and it's going to think linearly. That's what programs do. And it's really hard for it to take in all the factors that would occur in retirement, or, a premature death. You don't make it as far as your savings. The person in the example was making $89,000 a year, and early 30s. And what does he need to retire? And the way the calculator did the calculations, he would have to have like $5 million to replace things because of inflation and all these other things that happen. I'm like, okay, in that case, if you work it backwards, he's going to have to save like $140,000 a year, which is way more than he's making right now. So, it was really well done mathematically. But it showed that it's more than just the numbers.
Yeah. Seems like AI misses nuance a lot of the time. So it's great at doing things quickly, but misses the nuance. And that was the case it ended up being in this article, which, if you want to go read this article, by the way, we'll link to it in the description and the show notes of today's episode. Go check it out. It's an interesting read. But yeah, it basically created a very unrealistic scenario for this person. If you'd put this in there and kind of trusted it as your financial plan, you would have given up. Like, what's the point in working at this? I'll never retire is basically the answer that it provided. And that's not what the real advisor helped find out.
Exactly. And what she was saying, crying tears of despair because I'm never going to get there based on this calculation, which was great because that's exactly it. We can do math all day, but emotions, real life, and life happens, and things happen that get you off course all the time.
Yeah.
So, and there's no way AI can factor all of that. There might be some very specific rules and regulations AI can help you with because it's monitoring whatever the data is at the time that it's scanning the universe of the internet. But it's just not going to be able to give you advice that will probably make sense for your life.
Yeah. No, I think that is a fantastic point. She even had some questions, the author, on ChatGPT's math skills actually not turning out okay. Like, there were a few things that she seemed to find that didn't quite match what she needed. Also, ChatGPT makes a lot of assumptions about your situation. It's not fantastic at asking follow-up questions. These are all things that humans are really good at being able to do to get a better idea of your picture. ChatGPT, most time, just takes, or any AI, kind of takes the data you input and tries to make something out of it. It doesn't seem to have that ability to decipher, I need more information, and that more information can come from different places.
Right. And it's essentially a glorified future value calculator.
Yeah.
Which, I have this much, I'm earning this much a year, whatever the number is, 6%, 10%, and I'm going to have what projected into the future. It doesn't factor in, the expenses that you have. If you start to have kids, we all know how expensive kids can be.
Yeah.
Changes the whole trajectory. And, any other life events that are real that you would have happen, even tax changes. It can't factor those. So it's really important that you sit with someone who's going to walk through your life with you and what your expectations are and help you have realistic expectations for where you're trying to go.
Not as a financial advisor. I've used some of AI and ChatGPT plenty. I will say there are tasks where it saves a lot of time. It's a great time-saving tool. It can also be a tool that has helped me before get off of like a writer's block or something like that. Yeah. It's great at actually kind of just coming up. It's like brainstorming with another person across the table from you. Like, hey, give me some ideas around this. Okay, I like the third idea you came up with, but let's tweak it in this way. That's been some really cool uses of it, but I have a hard time trusting it on anything important. And one example, Janine, I shared this with you before the show, and that was I had put in some data about a podcast I'd hosted and wanted to see what it would spit out in terms of like a description and how it would write it different than I would. And what it came out with was it made the guest of the show an alcoholic and had a drug problem and all these other things. And that person wasn't an alcoholic, didn't have a drug problem. It was never mentioned in the episode. It just out of thin air just sort of created this piece of the episode that did not exist. So you got to still be really careful on things. So now pretend you're trying to plan your life savings with this AI that you can't really trust and not just make stuff up.
Right. Oh, and that's a huge piece. I mean, the numbers always need to be checked because life is more than just numbers. Math is important.
Yes.
But like you said, you don't want things showing up in your plan that really don't make sense for what you're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. So again, check out the article if you want to read it in the show notes of today's episode. I'll end our comments here, Janine, with how this author ended the article. She said it's the beginning for AI companies who are trying to find a way to make AI more applicable and trustworthy, especially in the financial planning space and context. But in the meantime, her big takeaway was that it's probably best to just use AI for background research, then bring the big questions to a human advisor. So
and
if I can, a pretty good takeaway.
Yeah, very good. And one thing I would point out, especially for those in retirement, you do have to be careful now because as wonderful a tool as it is, there are a lot of people out there who are now attempting to use it to scam.
Yes, big time.
To scam the elderly. And if you're confused by tech to begin with, it could be very easy to scam you with AI. Because of the things it can do. So you really do have to look very carefully at emails or texts that you get that look very similar to accounts. You're not going to have account numbers, of course, but information regarding like a bank account, checking account. It's asking you I keep getting texts from the U.S. Postal Service. I'm like, they don't send me texts.
All the time. Yeah. I'm like, who's falling for this one,
Yeah. But people who are not that savvy with tech are going to potentially fall for this, and then you've got an issue.
Absolutely. Oh, I've got an important package that's going to get delivered to somebody else. I need to put my info in so they get it to the right place, and boom, you've just made a mistake. So
Yep.
I know we could do a whole show on scams. We'll save those for another time.
Yeah.
I got one today that almost got me, Janine. It wasn't digital. It was an old-fashioned one. And it looked like a check, like someone had sent me a check, and I thought it was a refund from like the government for taxes. But then I looked closer and I was like, wait. And I've actually been expecting a refund check to come through. And so I was already primed for that. And then I was like, this isn't an actual check, but my gosh, it looks just like a check. And so anyway, it was a voucher that they're trying to get you to then try to cash and then call them to say, how do I get my value out of here? And then they're selling you stuff. So
or they're asking you for the account so they can send it to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So they even still get me sometimes, and that's scary for then folks who aren't as savvy in the tech world.
Right. Yeah. It's very sophisticated tech, but we have to take the time to be smarter than it in these issues.
Janine's advice is don't let AI be your friend. Use it as a tool, but don't let it be your friend.
That's a good one. Yes.
Where you would take things. Well, if you want to talk to a human financial advisor who knows nuance, who knows how to best prepare for retirement and your financial future, and knows the kind of mission that you want to be on in your financial life and in retirement, and wants to help you accomplish that mission, make sure that you're putting together a solid plan to lead you to and through retirement, reach out to Janine Theus. You can find her online at theuswealthadvisors.com or give a call to 443-718-6311. And we'll put that contact information in the description of today's show.